What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, this young man that you see right here, his name is Mikael Riley, and he played a couple of years with the Alabama Crimson college basketball team about 15, 16 years ago. I don't even think he ever made the NBA. I think he played in some pro leagues overseas for a few years, but while he'll never be in the Hall of Fame as a basketball player, in my opinion, the shot that he made that night against the Mississippi State Bulldogs back in 2008 at the Georgia Dome, now of course it's called Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, is the greatest clutch shot in the history of sports. Not because it won the game for Alabama. Alabama went on to lose the game narrowly to Mississippi State. The reason why this shot was so phenomenal is that, unbeknownst to Mikael Riley, unbeknownst to his teammates, unbeknownst to the millions watching on television, and especially the crowd that were in attendance at that game at the Georgia Dome, his shot, which extended the game into overtime, saved the lives of potentially thousands of people. And I'll explain why. On the night of Friday, March 14th, 2008, conference tournament play in college basketball was heating up. Mississippi State was slated to take on Alabama in the SEC quarterfinals at the Georgia Dome, as I mentioned now, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. The game was kept relatively close, and with 2 seconds left in regulation, Alabama senior guard Mikael Riley hit a jumper, a three-pointer, with 2 seconds left to send the game into overtime. This shot would prove to be a critical moment as threatening weather was approaching the immediate Atlanta downtown area from the northwest. All day, the National Weather Service and local weather affiliates have been threatening that there was a possibility of severe weather hitting the Atlanta metro area. Well, Atlanta has seen its fair share of severe weather, but Atlanta had never been directly, at that time, hit by a tornado, not the metro area. So when the threat of severe weather, even tornadoes, popped up again that particular day, most people, heed the warning but still went about their day. However, a supercell had developed well ahead of the main storm system it was associated with. This dangerous cell would prompt a tornado warning for Atlanta at 9:26 p.m., indicating the potential for a tornado. At 9:38 p.m., a strong EF2 tornado touched down just west of the intersection of Joseph E. Boone Boulevard Northwest and Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard Northwest. By 9:40 p.m., the tornado was passing just barely north of the Georgia Dome by no more than roughly 200 yards. At the time of the tornado passing by, the game was paused with 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in overtime. The tornado ended up ripping panels from the exterior of the building and tore 2 holes in the roof of the dome. This caused insulation to fall and the scoreboard and catwalks suspended from the roof to sway. The broadcast of the game picked up much of the dramatic events unfolding on camera. The Georgia Dome public announcer was mentioning that severe weather was in the area and that a tornado warning was in effect. One important thing to note was that the broadcasters even mentioned that they were hearing the sound of a locomotive passing by and relating it to what a tornado sounds like. This is the broadcast right here that was shown on TV.
All the way to the rim for a big Mississippi State basket.
G is fouled by Stewart. That's a block.
There's some rumbling behind us. There's some concern. The building is rocking a bit. Not exactly sure why. Some of our standards may have something to do with weather.
Conditions still exist in downtown Atlanta. Thank you for your
There's
patience.
a tornado warning in downtown Atlanta, we're being told, and it has caused the top of the Georgia Dome is actually moving. But we do have power, which is amazing. I do see some movement. Actually, some debris in the air behind us.
Right. They're coming from the
We can
roof.
see our camera. If there's any way we can get our camera to point in the direction that we're in, upstairs, you'll be able to see the standard. There you have it. Many of our camera guys have been taken away from their positions because of this. Gary Clem, our director, and apparently a tornado warning was in the area, so this could be a case of a tornado actually being in the area. And it definitely sounded like a locomotive.
It did.
Sounded like a freight train.
Which is the sound of a
Which is
tornado.
the sound of a tornado.
Yeah.
And it clearly was exactly that.
And both teams are off the floor, we should say. They have taken both teams back to the locker rooms.
I've oftentimes been told that in situations like this, domed stadium is the best possible place that you could be.
I hope you're right.
There's debris that will have to be dealt with. Some of it is out on the floor. Most of it seems to be some of that insulation that we were talking about that was flying in the air. This is when it all happened in real time. And you see now the official looking up into the air. Listen to the Nat sound here.
Ladies and gentlemen, severe weather conditions.
Try if
still
you can
exist
to
in
focus
downtown Atlanta.
as you look at
Thank
this
you for
shot
your patience.
on the rippling effect at the top of the roof. Do you see it? Almost like a curtain.
Right. And you can see that clearly.
Indeed. And that natural sound is exactly what a tornado sounds like.
Yeah, you can see the rippling right in through there. Just kind of a rippling effect like that on the top of that.
But I think as Dave Baker, as he accurately pointed out, is that scaffolding moving, swaying from one side to the other that caused the panic among the fans in the upper deck.
Tim, substantial winds. How strong is this structure with those tears in there? That has to be a concern for the people in this building and the conference offices. And this is right when it happened. Do you see the action? And Wisely, we got some great crew here. These guys really know what they're doing with the equipment they are using, these cameras and whatnot. And they were right on it. And I think that has to be a big concern. How safe is this structure that we're in right now if we take another big hit by the wind? I'll try to get some more information on how quickly we will resume, but back to you, Tim.
Okay.
Play was postponed for more than an hour before the game was resumed, with Mississippi State going on to narrowly defeat Alabama 69-67. Georgia was scheduled to play Kentucky on the night of March the 14th, but the game had to be moved to the next night, March the 15th, because of the extensive storm damage. Not only just this game, but the rest of the SEC tournament would have to be played at Georgia Tech due to the tornado damage. This tornado also did damage to the CNN Center, located right across the street from the Georgia Dome, the Georgia World Congress Center, the Omni Hotel, and the then Phillips Arena, now known as the State Farm Arena, where an ongoing Atlanta Hawks game was being played. Unfortunately, 27 people were injured in this tornado, and one person perished. However, had Mikael Riley's three-point shot not connected, thousands of people would have been exiting the Georgia Dome just as the tornado was passing by. This was a strong EF2 tornado that was literally only a few hundred yards away from the Georgia Dome. and it literally passed right by the Georgia Dome. Actually, I need to correct that. It was only 200 yards away from the Georgia Dome when it touched down, and literally passed right by the Georgia Dome at the time of that broadcast. Had those people been outside, when you look at the fact that it was a strong EF2, when you look at the fact that the close proximity to the twister, and the fact that, you know, when you have all these different buildings close together, that creates this wind tunnel effect, which would just enhance the winds, and, you know, shattered glass and debris in the air. The potential was there for thousands of people to have lost their lives. Literally, thousands. It could have been one of the worst disasters in the history of this country. So inadvertently, Mikael Riley was a hero because his shot extended the game and kept people in the Georgia Dome, where you did hear in this broadcast, in a situation for tornado, you're relatively safer, at least, being there than in most other places. Definitely more safe than being exposed to the elements. As far as the tornado itself, there was no video footage of it, but there was a photograph of this tornado, and it was taken by an individual. I think his name was Shane. I think it's Shane Durant's, and it's a very ominous picture. In this photograph, you could see the entire supercell structure. Initially, many people thought the funnel was in the middle. You might see what looks like a low-hanging cloud that's extending, but that's actually a lot of scud. The actual tornado is toward the the left side of the screen. You might see the building with the pointy triangle light. I forgot the name of that building. I think it's a SunTrust building or something like that. But anyway, to the immediate right of that building is the funnel. You can see the condensation funnel. That is the actual tornado. And as you can see, it was a very scary sight to see it. But at night, you couldn't see it. The only reason why it's illuminated is because the photographer caught this photograph just as lightning had illuminated the sky. But anyway, I just wanted to share this, man, because I've always was kind of intrigued by this. I never had time to sit back and do a video talking about it. But yeah, man, Mikael Riley hit the clutchest shot in the history of sports because he saved thousands of lives. You know, so tell me what you guys think.